You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steeler Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on this Tuesday. We've got more draft reaction to get into. We're going to go around the AFC North as we continue to kind of put a bow on all of last week's proceedings. But, Matt, you remember the famous infomercial guy, Billy Mays? OxyClean, big beard.
Yeah.
His famous tagline was, "But wait, there's more." That would always be his, "But call now." And
give you something else, right?
You'll get 7 extra bottles of OxyClean for the price of one. Just when you think the dust is starting to settle on the offseason, but wait, there's more.
There's always a little something.
As we got a bit of an Aaron Rodgers bombshell today. I certainly think the most significant update we've had since the season ended. And yes, we've heard from Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy and a lot of people in the Steelers organization, but that message has always been the same. It's always been kind of generic, and it's always been kind of wait and see without a lot of movement. Well, Adam Schefter today putting out a report that I think certainly changes that, and now, if it was even possible, but wait, there's more questions around the future of Aaron Rodgers, and certainly as it relates to his potential to be the Steelers' starting quarterback here in 2026.
So I didn't even know this existed until a couple hours ago. And I still don't 100% understand it, but I do want to talk through it.
I was going to kind of preface it with that disclaimer as well of this is the first time I've ever heard of anything like this. If we're
off base, I apologize.
Exactly
but I don't quite get it.
We're going to try and build this plane together and figure it out as we fly it. But Schefter, this morning, about 11 a.m.-ish, put out a post. Sources, the Steelers placed the rare UFA tender on Aaron Rodgers, meaning that he can accept a 10% raise off of last year's salary, which would pay him about $15 million this season.
Gotcha.
As another condition of the tender, Rodgers would only be able to sign with the Steelers once training camp begins.
So that part I think I understand. He can't be a Steeler until training camp starts. So he won't be at OTAs and minicamps. Does that
mean
true?
Like he has to miss the first day of practices? And that what is training camp starts? Is that report
Well, what
day?
I saw was the first training camp that opens in the league. Whoever that is.
Okay.
So
here we go.
So I don't think he can be at minicamp or OTAs.
That sounds like it would be.
I think that's the wording there.
Because it sounds like July 22nd might be the date. So the UFA tender preserves the Steelers' right to receive a compensatory draft pick in the event Rodgers signs with another team, while also limiting his ability to sign with another team once training camp begins. The Steelers will have exclusive negotiating rights for Aaron Rodgers if he does not sign with another team by July 22nd or the first day of Pittsburgh's training camp, whichever is later. Another condition of the tender is that Aaron Rodgers can also accept a 10% raise off of last year's salary, which would pay him about $15 million this season. Despite using the tender on him, the Steelers remain confident Rodgers ultimately will sign with the team, and the move is considered a procedural one, a source told ESPN.
Okay.
The tag is so rarely used because there aren't often unrestricted free agents of Rodgers' caliber, ones capable of having a significant impact on a team's compensatory picks available at this point in the league year.
So there has to be something correlating with it being post-draft. Because, if the Steelers were to sign Jawan Jennings right now, it doesn't...
It's not like you have to wait until July 22nd or whatever to...
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious why this comes out the day or so after the draft. My hunch is, originally I thought, why does this even need to happen? And then I thought, maybe he just is... once more time, hey, I don't plan on being at mini camps and OTAs anyways, but I'm all in training camp. So, and then I kind of thought, is this going to make him mad? Is this a negotiating,
hold his feet to the fire type thing?
And then I thought maybe it's the opposite, where he says, guys, I'm super interested. I just want my whole summer to be my summer. Put this tag on me. It's my idea just to make you feel better about a good faith move. You
I'm
know
not
what I
going
mean?
anywhere
I'm not
else,
going anywhere. This gives you something to fall back
Gonna
on.
give me a little bit of a raise, which they had probably agreed
They probably
to
would do that
anyways. I
yeah.
would imagine.
Yeah, the raise part and the money doesn't change my life at all. It's just, when can he get here, and can the Steelers match it? If, I mean, maybe the Chiefs are like, man, Mahomes' rehab's terrible. Who could we go call? There's only one guy left, or someone gets hurt at OTAs, or Matt Stafford retires tomorrow, or you know what I mean, or someone gets hurt, tears a pec.
Kyler Murray
benching.
does something at Vikings camp.
Yeah,
preseason or something. Yeah.
Caleb Williams, just tears a pec bench pressing, working out on his own, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we don't want to flush our season. Who can we call? Rodgers. Well, at least the Steelers could be like, I guess we'll get something out of it or can match it, right?
Yes. Almost like the right of first refusal type thing.
I don't know why this is even in the CBA, though. It's so odd to me.
Like you mentioned, this was the first time I had ever heard of something like this.
Right.
When TV texted us when the news broke this morning, that was kind of I was like, a UFA tender, but okay, I've heard of restricted free agent tenders, obviously, and that's commonplace across sports.
Of course.
You get that in like all the major sports in this country. But
why I wonder, does it have to be after the draft? Because who was a huge free agent? Jalen Phillips went from the Eagles to Panthers. They couldn't have slapped this on Jalen Phillips the day free agency opened, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right,
because you would think teams would do that all the time. If I'm about
I don't want to lose them, right?
Sure.
I don't think you can just do that any time.
Maybe it's a post-draft
players
thing.
would hate that.
Sure.
I can't
and so would the team trying to sign him.
Exactly.
This is already going to factor into my compensatory formula regardless.
Yeah, but then Phillips couldn't show up until training camp. But who cares at that point?
If it's an established
guy like that,
it's not the end of the world.
Okay, he missed minicamp.
Yeah.
So be it. I don't know. It just makes me think Rodgers wants more time, but he wants to give the Steelers a good, this will feel better if at least we can put this on there. Maybe it's not his idea at all. Maybe he hates it. I don't know.
It's an interesting point by you that I hadn't considered, because maybe it is for lack of a better term, the Steelers were getting a little antsy with it, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to get this done.
We thought it'd be done with the draft.
We didn't want this to drag out again like it did last year. And he's saying, okay, well, let's do it this way. That way it gives you some consideration that you're not going to get the rug pulled out from underneath you, but it gives me
nothing out of it.
It gives me more time, and I don't want to show up, in
worst case,
May for OTAs anyways.
Worst case, you get a comp pick out of it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come back.
It's a lot to ponder. It's a lot to ponder.
It's so weird, though.
Also, from Schefter, there was a note with this, like a memo that was sent to the NFL
I thought that was
teams.
interesting, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from California, literally and figuratively, the school. And I always like how they include that.
I say that was so long ago.
I've had this.
I think we know who he is.
I've had this conversation with Rob King and Max Starks before. The guys that actually broadcast the games. Like if you say Troy Faltanu, the second-year guy out of Washington, the third-year man out, Zach Frazier, in his third year from WVU.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you stop referencing their universe? Like Aaron Rodgers.
I think we're out of the woods on this guy. Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, quarterback Cal. Like
Tom Brady, Michigan, right?
It's been 22 years since Aaron Rodgers played for Cal. Do we still need to reference?
I was thinking the same thing. Lynn Swann, USC. It's like, I think we know who we're talking about at this point, right?
I've always wondered, because you'll rarely hear Kinger say, like, TJ Watt, the 11th year guy out of Wisconsin, but you'll hear him
or a second
you'll hear him
year.
say, Joey Porter Jr., the third year guy out of Penn State. It's like, what point do you decide to stop referencing the
My
university?
podcast partner and I got a kick out of that too. It's like, I think we know who we're talking about. Right?
I'm not confused by the other Aaron Rodgers quarterback who's out there that might not have gone to Cal. So, funny digression there.
I thought that was hilarious.
That's something I've talked about with Kinger and Max before. Is like, at what point do you stop saying like the second year man out of Alabama?
Right.
Aaron Rodgers,
color guy, Max Starks from Florida.
Go Gators!
Right.
Aaron Rodgers received this from Adam Schefter was the note sent to NFL teams. Aaron Rodgers received the UFA tender from his prior club, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and remains eligible to sign with any club. The Steelers will receive exclusive negotiating rights for Rodgers if he does not sign by July 22nd, 2026, or the first scheduled day of the first 2026 NFL training camp, whichever is later.
Okay.
If Rodgers signs with a new club before that date, he would be a potential compensatory free agent lost by the Steelers and a potential CFA, compensatory free agent, gained by a new club if all other requirements are met under the compensatory draft system's rules.
Okay, I think I still have one more question, though.
Okay.
So once camp opens, he cannot sign with anyone but the Steelers. But between now and then, he can. I think for only a minimal raise, 10%. We talked about that in the last tweet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. I think I just assumed that the Steelers can match it. I'm not sure they can. I think instead they get a pick. Like if he signs with the Bears tomorrow.
Because that's like how a restricted free agent tender works.
You can match it.
You can match it.
So I thought originally they can match it.
But I haven't,
seen
any of that language.
Yeah,
here.
I thought maybe I just assumed that. Yeah. So he could sign somewhere else between now and camp, and at least the Steelers get a comp pick out of it.
It sounds like it preserves the Steelers' right to receive a comp pick if he does sign with another team, while limiting his availability to sign with another team once training camp begins.
Because originally I thought if they can match it, just keep $15 million liquid, and no one can sign for more than that, and you just match it, and someone does the negotiating for you, and boom. TV's selling us something there, right?
I was going to say, all right, so here from the desk of intrepid producer, Mr. TV, what it gives the Steelers: right to match any offer another team gives Rodgers. If he signs with them,
so then he can't match the offers then. Good. Okay. I'm going to say otherwise you could really get screwed.
If he does sign with the Steelers, he gets about a 10% raise. If he doesn't,
but he's probably going to get anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If he doesn't sign elsewhere by the deadline, Steelers get exclusive negotiating rights. Yep. And then if he leaves, they could get a compensatory draft pick.
And I'm sure that last bullet point, if he leaves, does not include retirement. I'm sure he could still retire.
I think that's.
I think you're out. Then you're out. Yes. Holding the bag.
Yes. This move is rare. Teams almost never use this tender. It tells you the Steelers don't know if Rodgers is coming back or retiring, but they don't want to lose him for nothing if he does. It's basically low risk, high control move.
So I guess this could upset him, though.
It could.
I originally thought he threw it out to them, which I guess is possible, too.
I think that could be a two-way street.
Yeah,
and that's one of those things, hey, maybe some...
I just need a little more time.
Maybe some real journalist will find the details to that, and we're efforting some guests that we can discuss this and the Steelers draft last week with here in the next day or two.
My hunch is after being at the facility those 3 days very recently, this is much ado about nothing. He'll be a Steeler. He won't be at minicamp. He won't be at OTAs, but he'll be at training camp. Maybe on a little bit of a raise.
That is still my hunch.
That's what that's the chip I'm putting down still.
But as we continue to go through this process, and, we heard about at the Combine, the messaging was this isn't going to play out as long as it did last year.
Yeah, right.
At the owners' meetings, the messaging was we'd like to have an answer in the next month or so before the draft.
I kind of thought it would happen by the draft.
And then now this. So my hunch is still that Aaron Rodgers at some point in late July is in Latrobe and on the campus of St. Vincent College and is QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
But I think the wager that I would place on that continues to return me a bit more money as we get further and further into this thing, if that makes sense.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Like
it pays off a little better.
It is still my hunch that Aaron Rodgers, again, Latrobe, St. Vincent College, late July, QB1. But as we continue to hit all these combine and owners meetings and draft and now this, I get less and less convinced that that's just a foregone conclusion. At the same time, I still think that's the most likely outcome.
Right.
But it's like
maybe it's a little less, 1% less.
Are we just shuffling chairs on the Titanic before this thing goes down, or or is this just much to do about nothing?
And doesn't sound like you probably will be at OTAs or minicamp.
I would be shocked now if he would.
Yeah, which now makes it even longer you're waiting and makes your odds even a little bit better payoff, like the analogy you just used. And you did draft quarterback in the third round.
You did.
That's changed in the last week.
Overall pick.
Right. You took your third pick was a quarterback, and you might put a supplemental offer in on a one Sorsby character.
Oh, good Lord.
Add another quarterback to the mix.
Good Lord.
A little teaser for maybe a conversation down the road.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that at some point.
Nuts.
That's insane.
Yes.
So, Brandon Sorsby, the big ticket quarterback who transferred from Cincinnati to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
He is on my list for.
I assume we could do
around
a different
campus
segment if
that
you
we
want.
were going to do it. I was thinking we'd do that like Thursday or Friday later in the week.
But it makes me think, teams like the Jets, Cardinals, Steelers might be the most likely to put in an offer for the rare supplemental draft. But then all of a sudden you'd have Rodgers, Uhler, Howard, and Rudolph. Like I wouldn't have drafted Uhler if I knew this 2 days ago, or maybe I'd tell Rodgers I'm not interested, or I don't know. I mean, I just find it interesting.
The NCAA is likely to permanently ban Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby for a handful of bets he made on his own team as a freshman at Indiana in 2022. This is a guy that Texas
Tech probably
just
going to
paid,
go to this supplemental draft.
Just paid like $5 million to.
I'm sure, yeah.
Now, I don't know how that works. I'm sure he probably got some of it up front and some of it in installments. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's
but
a piece of it back. Or
crazy situation going on there right now. And another
you
kind
might
of.
be able to get this guy on the cheap now.
I would just like to preface it by saying I have no interest.
Okay.
I know some of your people. That always sounds funny to say. I know some of your people have said he's got traits and he's an interesting prospect, and I agree with that part. But I've never been overly infatuated with him.
I've never watched it at all. I don't know other than just reading about him and him being one of the 10, or 12, and coincidentally, several way too early mock drafts came out today. He was in one of them in the first round. I don't think Dane put him in his because of this.
I don't see that at all, but I'm not one of these people that evaluates talent and knows exactly what to look for. I know there's a lot of really good college quarterbacks that end up doing buckus in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's a lot of Josh Allen, who the heck is this guy, that turns into one of the best quarterbacks in the world. So I'm not completely locked into that science, but a weird day of quarterback news across the football, across the football world. News.
I don't know. We were joking on my other podcast. It's like some of your scouts, your offensive, back to the Sorsby thing, your quarterback coach, your offensive coordinator, they're probably kind of like us. Oh, draft is done. I'm going to Jamaica. I'm getting away for a while. And they're like, well, need you to watch this Sorsby film and do some snooping, That
would be if that ends up happening where he gets banned from the NCAA, which this is a total digression. We don't need to get into this, but I do think the NCAA, you probably know this even as someone who's not a huge college sports fan, the last 6 or 7 years since the transfer portal and NIL and all of this, like the NCAA has had their power stripped away slowly but surely.
Right?
Yeah. Like they are less powerful now than they have been in the previous 150 years of the organization to levy suspensions and fines and all that stuff. But not in this instance, and so I think they might want to brandish that hammer and really,
I would think.
Like
I don't think he's ever going to play again.
I don't think he's ever going to play college football again, and I think the NCAA, in an area where they still have some power, is going to do the best to flex that power.
The supplemental draft used to be a thing, like Chris Carter, and there was every year you were kind of cared about it, and no one's cared about it for a long time.
I think the last one that people cared about was when Terrell Pryor went out in the supplemental draft after his whole Ohio State, the tattoos and the money, and which now in hindsight seems hilarious. And we made all this big what these guys are. Sorsby's getting $5 million now, and he hasn't even played a snap. But Terrell Pryor had to get crucified because he got some tattoos in the car, right? And it's amazing, but it's certainly a wild day for quarterback stories. We are, we'll be keeping an eye, obviously, on everything that transpires with Aaron Rodgers here and any potential new news. Again, we are efforting some of the real Big J journalists of the world to get some of their thoughts.
I bet there'll be more clarity in the next 24 hours or so.
And I do think tomorrow on the show, at least, we're going to have our buddy Chris Halleck, and I'm sure he'll be able to lend some clarity to this situation. But interesting
it's pretty
day.
Nuts,
Interesting day around Aaron Rodgers. Interesting day around one of the biggest name college football quarterbacks who might be getting banned from the NCAA for gambling. And we have got plenty to react as, again, just when you think the dust is settling.
I wonder if everyone knows how the supplemental draft works. So
you forfeit that. Yeah, you would be able to lay it out better than me because I've only
I don't
seen
think
it once
the rules
or twice
have changed.
in my lifetime.
I think it's still the same. Where let's say you're interested in Sorsby, you send an email or whatever to the league saying, I would give up my 3rd round pick for him. And nobody knows that you sent that. So all 32 teams, some team might be like, I'll send you my 7th. We're not really interested. Or I'm not interested at all. And if there's multiple people in it, you do that. And then they open up, it's kind of like a blind ballot thing. They open up all the emails or whatever and say, what team bid the most? Wow, the Cardinals are willing to give up next year's 2nd round pick for this dude. Mm-hmm. But you get him now. You get him a year early.
Yes.
He immediately becomes part of your team. So if like the Jets with 3 first-round picks decide, I'm going to give up a 2nd next year for Sorsby just so I can see if he's the answer. I still have 3 firsts. You have to outbid them. And if the Jets put in for a 2nd and the Steelers put in for a 2nd, the Jets win because their 2nd was earlier this year.
Correct. It's almost like kind of similar to like a waiver
like
wire
waivers
in that,
to some degree.
in that regard.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of wild.
There has been not a single player chosen in the NFL supplemental draft since 2019.
And they're usually troubled. They're usually suspended or, there's
majorly due to the NIL and transfer portal era now too.
That
But
makes
you're
sense.
right. It's an annual process for college players who did not enter the NFL draft due to changed eligibility, academic, or disciplinary issues.
And I still think they happen, and just nobody wants the guys that have been coming out.
Yes.
Like that no one's been selected,
Yes. A lot of times it is someone like Chris Carter or someone like Terrell Pryor who had, some legal stuff. Last player selected was safety Jalen Thompson in 2019.
Okay.
Other famous selections include Chris Carter, Bernie Kosar, and Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Gordon was a big one, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of he was a bad boy. He got suspended. Right? That type of thing.
He was failing drug tests. Was it Kent State that he was at, I think, right? That sound right?
No, he was somewhere in Texas.
Okay.
Baylor?
That might be right. Now that you mention it, that might be right. But, so it's a lot to ponder here.
Yeah.
And what's funny is if you go to Google.
Would you give up a 5th round pick next year for Sorsby?
I would not. Because again, I want to be clear on this.
Also might be.
I'm not a believer.
He might also be a gambling addict.
By
the way,
that's a pretty important piece of this as well.
Right. Yesterday he's like, I checked in to a gambling rehab facility. Now, maybe he only did that just so it makes it look good, because he knew he was about to get busted.
I totally think that was PR damage control.
I do too. Right. He may not be an addict at all. He may have placed 2 bets his whole life. I don't know.
But you know what though, something like these type of things it's all coming to a head at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the one-off scenarios of Pete Rose and who was that NBA ref? Was it like Tim Donaghy? Does that sound right, guys? Yeah. Who was betting on NBA games.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had this big NBA thing with Terry Rozier, and it's still ongoing, and a huge federal investigation that there might be some massive hammers dropping soon on some of these NBA guys.
Yeah.
And I really think, and again, this is I really think the DOJ, the Department of Justice, wants to hammer down on this big time because they realize that toothpaste is completely out of the tube with gambling, and we can't have this kind of stuff happen.
Right.
It's just nuts, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And what's crazy is, the NFL's so in business with, these different gambling sites. The supplemental draft brought to you by DraftKings.
Exactly.
With the gambling addict gets picked in the 3rd round. Right.
If you're going to have those lines blurred,
right,
there needs to be, without a doubt, ironclad, hammer-dropping punishment for whenever you cross those lines.
And then you draft this kid in the supplemental draft, and he's betting on football all day, and he gets suspended.
He's like, don't worry, guys, I've moved on to golf and tennis here.
Right. Don't do it at the facility, and there's all those rules, too.
You put an NFL supplemental draft right now on Google, and every article that pops up, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo Sports, 24/7 Sports, how the NFL supplemental draft could work for Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby.
But you might get a starting quarterback on the cheap.
You might.
That's what happened to Bernie Kosar. That was 1983 or whatever. Sure. I forget what his situation was.
And even Terrell Pryor, I think
you got a good player.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
The Raiders, I think, ended up giving up a 3rd or a 4th round
Chris
draft
Carter
pick.
wasn't a first.
He was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, right. You might get your starting quarterback for a 4th round pick or something crazy.
A lot to ponder here on a Monday. It is Billy Mays Day. As soon as you think that things are about to quiet down,
nuts.
But wait, there's more. And isn't that why we love the NFL? We're going to take our first break. We'll continue with any more new information here, as well as more draft reaction. We're going to go around the AFC North and talk about what our 3 rivals in the division accomplished last week on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Just getting started here on a Tuesday. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. It's a wild world we're living in, Matt Williamson.
Pretty nuts.
We're all going to break here, and TV's over there like, we could get Brennan Sorsby in the compensatory draft. And he's like,
add another young quarterback to the mix.
He's like, how did you like him compared to Will Howard and Drew Aller in college? And I said, I'd have him third. I said, but also, Patrick Mahomes went like 6-6 and 7-5 every year at Texas Tech. So, Again, I understand. I'm not watching. I watch a lot of college football. I don't watch it thinking of how that quarterback's traits transition to the next level. But man,
sure
I've been underwhelmed every time I've watched Brennan Sorsby.
Okay, I haven't watched him at all. I know some people like him. Whatever. I don't even want to talk about Sorsby that much. But I did want to bring this up even when we were talking about Mendoza when he went first overall. But I didn't want to like burst the bubble of the draft was new, and I wasn't even on the air that first hour. But just to, I don't want to hijack the segment, but just want to give a couple minutes.
That's what we do this time of year.
We do. Do you know the Heisman-winning quarterbacks that went on to lead their team to a Super Bowl win? I bet you won't. I had a really hard time doing this, and I had to Google it.
Peyton Manning did not win the Heisman, correct?
He did not.
And you're talking with the team that drafted them? Or just in general, period?
And they weren't like a backup sitting, or it wasn't like...
Because like Joe Burrow won the Heisman. But he has not won a Super Bowl.
Does not won a Super Bowl. I'm not talking about like a backup sitting on the third string.
Yeah,
like you're the starting.
I don't think
you led your team to the Super Bowl.
The team that drafted you, or just period?
One of them was drafted by the team, and one was not. I know the answer. There's only two. Which is amazing.
My first guess would be neither of them are from the 21st century.
It's been a long time.
Okay.
I mean, they're both Super Bowl era though. I didn't go back to like the 40s.
Sure.
Well, there was no Super Bowl.
Sure, that makes sense.
If you win a Super Bowl, it's Super Bowl era.
That makes sense.
Right.
They were Elway did not win the Heisman, right? Nope. Steve Young did not win the Heisman. No. Montana did not win the Heisman.
I mean, I can just tell you, but it brings another conversation. It's Roger Staubach.
Yes.
And Jim Plunkett, which is a really hard one because he was not drafted by the Raiders, who he took to the Super Bowl. The Patriots took him first overall. And they were great players in college. And I'm not saying Mendoza has no chance whatsoever, but I have wanted to have this conversation with you that just, to me, displays very vividly that being the best player in college football, the college football and pro football are just really different.
Yes, they are.
Is really
they are.
The bottom line here.
Johnny Manziel tore college football apart.
Right.
I thought any team, Cleveland, that drafted him in the first round was morons.
Yeah.
And he had Nick Saban in hell on the sideline.
Like, there's probably 50 quarterbacks have won the Heisman since the first Super Bowl. Maybe it's 40. I mean, there's a lot of running backs. Don't get me wrong. There's hardly any defensive players. And two of them were able to take their team to win the Super Bowl. It's a different world. Like Mendoza would be 3.
I think you and I, especially in Steelers circles, probably talk in regard as highly Lamar and Burrow as anybody in Steelers circles.
Right. People are a little reluctant to give them the credit they deserve. Right.
That's what I mean.
And they've knocked on the door at least.
But between the two of them, they've been in the league now combined for what? Probably 16, 17 years combined, the two of them?
A little less, I'd say, but yeah.
Let's
say 15. I don't know.
Burrow's probably been 7 or 8 years, and Lamar's probably been 8.
Yeah, I guess
you're
probably right. Yeah, at least 15.
They've been to one Super Bowl between the two of them. They both won Heisman. They both won the Heisman.
Both won the Heisman.
Yep.
Right.
Now, one was picked very first in the first round. The other was picked 32nd at the end of the first round. But a crazier stat for you, and I don't know, I might have shared this with you before, so this might be giving it away. Last quarterback to win, first overall quarterback taken in the draft. So not necessarily first pick, but first quarterback off the Kenny board. Pickett would factor in this.
That year, yeah.
First quarterback taken in each draft. The last one to win the Super Bowl with the team that drafted them.
Manning?
Not Eli.
I'm saying
because
Peyton.
The team that drafted him was the Chargers.
Well, I was thinking Peyton.
But Peyton was the last one.
But Eli's actually kind of a trick question.
Like Stafford won the Super Bowl as the first quarterback drafted, but not with the team.
The team that picked him. They went and won the Super Bowl together.
Burrow's been close, but no cigar. You know, like
Mahomes wasn't first. And Brady wasn't first.
I don't know if that speaks to just how different the sports are from collegiate to the NFL, more than just how tough it is to go to a bad team.
See, that one that you're different
more
to
typically,
me.
like the Kenny Pickett example, where you're going to,
pretty stable.
A pretty stable is the Lamar example, where you end up in a stable situation, is very different.
But Lamar was the first quarterback taken.
He was the 5th.
He was the 5th.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think that I think the two are a little different, and I think yours is really a testimonial to going to a nest that's on fire.
98 or 99 when
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was drafted. That's the last
And
first
he was terrible as
quarterback
a rookie,
taken.
and he didn't go to a good situation either.
Yeah.
You know, he overcame that, and they built it.
Elway was terrible as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys that now we'd be calling them bums and busts and all that stuff. But it is an interesting kind of science.
Tyler said Cam Newton very close.
Cam Newton very close too. I knew there was another one.
So he won the Heisman, and he was first pick. So he
Heisman
could have
first
done.
pick. Him
He
and
could have
Burrow.
done. He could have done.
Heisman first pick.
Those two could
Super
have
Bowl
done
runner
both.
up.
Been both of our categories. They could have filled to check the boxes.
That's a good call. That's a good
That is
call.
a good one,
Real
right.
close. Real close.
Real
there.
close.
Man, it's nuts, especially at that position.
Like I always play this game. Like, do you think Fernando Mendoza will ever win a Super Bowl? The easy answer when you sit here, he's never played a game. Like, oh, that dude's gonna play 15 years. Eventually they'll get together. The answer is probably no.
So the you know Dave Damashek.
Yeah.
He's a Pittsburgh native. He worked for NFL Network forever.
I've been on the air with him
he's
plenty
a
times.
Lebo guy. He does media stuff still. I think he's under the Dan Lebitard network now with ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
But he used to do a thing every offseason, and I forget what he would call it, but it was like a fun exercise on like handing out Super Bowls to the quarterbacks. And he would basically go, you think Josh, and I remember listening to him do this like 3 years ago, right in the middle of when the Chiefs were just world beaters, right? And it was like, you think Josh Allen will win a Super Bowl? Probably. You think Joe Burrow will win a Super Bowl? Probably. Lamar
Jackson have stolen this from me,
probably.
to be honest with you.
And he was like,
because I've done this many times.
He was like, think about it. Those guys, they're going to say they're in the league for 12 more years, right?
Yeah.
How many of those are going to go to Mahomes? How many of those are going to go to Matt
Especially
Stafford?
if Mahomes and Brady dominating the way they did during that stretch.
And then Hurts gets one, and Darnold gets one,
right.
and it's like
I mean,
all of a sudden
Rodgers has one. Breeze has one.
Those guys only ever went to one too.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
at least Ben went to multiple. Eli went to multiple. Peyton went to multiple. Those guys each went to one.
Right. I mean, even at this stage of their career, if we say that Lamar, Burrow, and Allen are all tier 1 quarterbacks, like when Sando's quarterback tier comes out, I would imagine they're all still tier 1 guys. Do you think all will win a Super Bowl? Do you think 0? I mean, what would you bet? What's the over-under of Super Bowls won by Burrow, Lamar, and Allen? 1? Combined.
I mean,
combined.
I would say 1, but that almost becomes kind of boring. Maybe I go 1.5. Maybe I go 1.5.
That's still a pretty low number.
Yes, it is.
And the fact that they haven't won one yet is not quite getting there, you know.
And then what if Mendoza does hit big time? What if Cam Ward does hit big time?
Oh,
what
and they just go to
Arch
Mahomes
Manning
is back and he wins 4 of the next 6 again,
or
something.
Arch Manning is great,
Right.
or Lenore Sellers is great, or Dante Moore is great.
I mean, again, we'll just keep it local. Steelers have a terrible year. They end up with Arch Manning because Cam got hurt, Watt got hurt, Metcalf got hurt, Frazier, the whole O-line's a mess.
Don't put Zach Frazier in it.
And all of a sudden you have that David Robinson Duncan year, you know, and you get Arch Manning, and then all of a sudden Steelers went to 5 of 8 Super Bowls, and Arch Manning won 4 of them. You're like, Allen probably didn't win any then.
Yes, correct.
You know what I mean? Or Burrow or Lamar.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
not to mention, what if Drake May really takes off and it's great? You know?
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, just look at the AFC alone. Like Trevor Lawrence, you think he's going to win a Super Bowl? No.
Probably not.
Probably. I would definitely vote no.
I'd put Justin Herbert ahead of him.
Yeah, and I still would vote no.
But I'd still vote no. Like
Stroud, no. You know, like someone's going to.
And probably
but,
2 or 3 years ago, we would have said yes with a lot of those guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
2
Especially
years
like
ago, with
Lawrence,
Stroud coming off his rookie year, we'd be like, that guy's going to win a Super Bowl.
or even Lawrence on his draft day. Yeah, oh, he's a superstar. You know, Luck.
I was just going to say, if the day Andrew Luck got drafted,
Right.
I said to you, will this guy win a Super Bowl or not? I bet you 90% of people would have said yes.
Of course. I bet most people would say Mendoza will, which is way longer shot than Luck
Big time.
or Lawrence.
Because Luck was going from a Colts organization that was really good and stable and had
Yeah.
that one bottom-out year because Peyton Manning missed the whole year with the neck injury.
Right.
And
that was kind of a Duncan situation.
then they were in the
yeah.
AFC. They were also, the Colts were in the AFC Championship game Andrew Luck's rookie year.
So it's like, oh, this guy's going.
He'll
be there every year.
For the next 12 years.
Marino's the best example.
Marino's a great rookie year in
He
the Super
goes
Bowl.
and loses to Montana. Is that guy ever going to win a Super Bowl? Oh, of course he is. Nope. You know, I mean,
I'm sure.
and I think it's harder now, especially in the AFC.
I'm sure the year after
What if May's the best quarterback in the AFC for the next 10 years?
I'm sure in Cincinnati after they lost to the Rams in that Super Bowl, and you would have asked them, Burrow's going to win one, right? Oh yeah, look what he just did. Look what he just did in
He's
2
in
years.
his 4th year or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I bet no on Burrow now.
I would bet no on Burrow.
You should bet no on everybody.
Yeah.
Is really
correct.
the point.
Correct.
I mean, if Rodgers only gets one, you should bet no on everybody.
Rodgers only gets one. Marino gets none. Good Lord.
Yeah. I just like having that conversation at least once a year. And some of it reflects on even like, man, Tomlin couldn't win a playoff game for a long time. It's like winning a playoff game is a way different world than winning a Super Bowl. But there's only 13 playoff winners. They only give away 13 games in the playoffs a year. And the Super Bowl winner usually has 3 or 4 of them. The Super Bowl loser has 2 or 3 of them. Like,
It dries up pretty quick.
It dries up pretty quick. You know, like playoff record, if you're 500 in the playoffs as a coach or quarterback,
that's really good.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing
really
it.
Good.
Right. Let alone, is Josh Allen ever going to win a Super Bowl? You would think yes, but I would bet on no. Always bet no.
Okay, real quick. Burrow, Allen, Lamar. Which one would you put a chip on to win a Super Bowl?
Not Burrow, because I don't trust the organization.
That's what I thought too, but I would
the
also.
Other two organizations,
but I don't trust Buffalo organization, and I feel like of those 3, if anyone would go to their organization and be like, "I'm out of here, see ya. I'm not going to win. Trade me somewhere else," I think it would be Burrow.
Me too.
That's why I might say Burrow is because I could see him going to the Rams or somewhere like that.
And I don't think it would drop off a cliff like a lot of Steeler fans think. But if Lamar has another injury, he might not be MVP Lamar anymore. You know what I mean? Like if he's another if he's an ankle or a chronic hammy or can't rely on the crazy stop-start running stuff. He's still really good in the pocket, but like Burrow could last longer than those two. You know, TV mentioned Cam Newton. Allen and Newton aren't very different in style of play, you know, running, size, physicality they took, and Newton didn't last long.
No, he did not.
I mean, he lasted pretty long. Good career, but he didn't last
Aaron
15
Rodgers
years.
Long.
Right, yeah. Which obviously nullifies your chances of winning a Super Bowl.
Speaking of some of those teams.
But always bet no, folks.
Always bet no.
Always bet no, right.
Speaking of some of it's like week.
Mahomes isn't going away, by the way.
It's like week 1 in college football, Matt. Always take the under.
Okay.
Always bet no.
Yeah.
We hope Brandon Sorsby isn't listening to this segment. Speaking of some of these teams, there's a callback joke for
nice.
you. Speaking of some of these teams,
Would
Baltimore.
you bet Mahomes wins another? That one's the hardest one because I've seen it.
I think I would bet yes for that before I would bet any of the other 3 that we mentioned to win one.
Me too.
Let's talk about some of those other organizations, what they did over the draft, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, what we liked, what we didn't like. We'll go around the AFC North here when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of the first hour here on The Drive. We've had some fun conversations.
Yeah, a lot of quarterback-driven stuff. Huh?
A lot of QB-driven stuff. And there continues to be some kind of like, more speculation, I guess, around the Aaron Rodgers situation. Like Trey Wingo says here, this makes 2 things clear. The Steelers must be a little nervous. He was getting calls from other teams as this tag is rarely invoked.
Okay.
And also remember when Aaron said that he wouldn't drag this out like last year. Well, this Friday we steamroll into May.
True.
So that's the only thing. And I know we're doing the Charlotte's Web, like bouncing all over the place
I know,
here,
but
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
What? Let's entertain
Because I
this here.
retweeted something from Albert Breer while I was getting coffee between segments.
Did you?
Too. Yeah.
I want to get to that, but let me ask you this real quick. If it's a little nervous, he's getting calls from other teams, or he's you know how I've referenced in the past, like the meme of like the guy holding hands with his girlfriend, and looking over his shoulder. Like remember I said that was you with KC Concepcion and Maxi Monachor. Where? Who? What team right now would be banging down the door for the Steelers or for Aaron Rodgers' services other than the Steelers?
Unless Rodgers' agent's just putting that out there.
Like
you know.
The Vikings, all the teams that we...
Well, it doesn't sound like anyone can give him a ton of money either. But that might make it more attractive to... I mean, he's not going to the Jets.
No. He's not going to the Vikings.
He's not going to Arizona either.
He's not going...
I mean, he wouldn't go to a terrible team,
I wouldn't
would
see
he?
him doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
And
how
again,
my mind works.
If
Buffalo,
Arizona wanted Aaron Rodgers, they could have tried that starting back in March when free agency opened.
and they're like the worst organization ever.
Yeah,
and he
I just
knows
don't
it. They're
see
not
that.
going. I can't see the Browns, and he definitely won't go back to the Jets. I'm
No.
talking about the worst teams in the league.
Miami signed Willis.
Right, they won't be
Minnesota
into it.
signed Kyler, or traded for Kyler.
I mean, could it be the Chiefs or the Bills? I mean, the Chiefs have an injured starting quarterback.
Yes, but would he do that where he knows as soon as Mahomes is back and healthy, I'm going to the
just going to go
bench?
sit on the bench,
Yeah.
right? Or would he go to Buffalo and back up Josh Allen? Back up anybody? No, I don't think so.
Remember, there were reports last year that he wasn't happy about them sitting him in Chicago. That
Right.
he wanted to play in that game. So if
he's not coming back.
If he's like, I don't want to sit a game when I'm 50-50 status, I'm not going somewhere to back somebody up.
I mean, he's not going to go be Cam Ward, put an arm around Cam Ward.
Heck no. Heck no.
Simpson already has that guy. Mendoza already has that guy. He's not going to do that. Just give me flatter me for 2 seconds. Buffalo, no. Miami, no. Jets, no.
New England, no.
New England, no way. Steelers, obviously. Ravens, no
No.
way. Burrow, no way in the Browns.
No.
Houston,
No.
if they traded Stroud.
I mean, if
and
they
didn't
did
decide,
something like that,
if
but
the-
not as we sit here now.
If they traded Stroud to the Cardinals or Steelers because they don't want to extend them.
I'll trade you Aaron Rodgers and a 3rd-round pick for C.J. Stroud right now. Boom, let's get it done, Houston.
I mean, that's the only angle I can come up with now is somebody like that.
The only team in the league,
we're really good, but we're not married to our starting.
The only team in the league that I could see now that I'm kind of thinking about this is Carolina, because he would go. They won the division and went to the playoffs last year. They've got some young wide receivers. I'm better than Bryce Young. I'll be the starter there. That's the only one in my mind that I'm thinking about it that I could see.
Indy, no. I mean,
they
just
gave Daniel
gave
Jones some money.
A lot of money. Right.
Not some money. You're right. A lot of money.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have to go through the league. I mean, anyway. So this is what Albert Breer put out.
Maybe he could go to Texas Tech and they'll pay him a big NIL
$5 million,
sum.
right? Just don't gamble it away. So this is what Albert Breer said, which is a lot of what we were talking about. Bullet point 1. Obviously, this gives the Steelers control with the matching rights. Bullet point 2. It allows for Pittsburgh to get a comp pick for him if he leaves. We knew that. And bullet point 3, it makes it so if Rodgers wants to return in season with another team, the Steelers would have to sign and trade him. See, I didn't think of that angle. If he doesn't even want to go to camp, he said, I'm done with football. But then they call him like Flacco off the bench, off the couch in week 3 because
that's the only scenario
Matthew
where
Stafford gets hurt.
That's the only
Sam
scenario
Darnold
where I
gets
can
hurt.
see Aaron Rodgers ending up playing in 2026 for another organization.
Yeah, Sam Darnold gets hurt. It's a really good team.
Or
yeah.
Josh Allen gets hurt, or Dak Prescott gets hurt.
So the Steelers would have to sign and trade him then.
Yes,
he can't just sign with Seattle out of the blue once the season starts or whatever.
I wonder if maybe that's the potential things that we've floated out there. And again, this is where we play the reckless speculation, warning. Like Matt and I don't know anything. We're just talking this thing out and all the different angles and the surprising news of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like would be the most realistic option for if Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to be a Steeler but played somewhere else. The only option is that he goes, I don't want to do OTAs in minicamp. I don't want to do training
I'm not even
camp.
sure if I want to be a football player this year.
But if maybe a really good Super Bowl contending team loses their guy in September and October, they can
Jordan
call me.
Love gets hurt. You want to come back to Green Bay, Aaron?
They can call me up Joe Flacco style, and I'll come on the proverbial call the guy off the street to come play for you.
But then they would have to say, hey, Steelers, can you sign him to
and
the
we'll
deal
give you
that we like,
pick or whatever.
And we'll make a deal. I mean, I guess that helps the Steelers a little bit.
That's the only scenario
where
I can even envision that being a possibility.
It's strange.
It's very strange.
Because, I mean, even it's a way different story, but I thought guys like Anthony Richardson would get traded over the weekend. He's kind of falling out of favor, doesn't have a spot. No. I thought 2 or 3 of those dudes, Levis, Shuck's backup, Rattler, maybe
Spencer
somebody
Rattler,
that. There's just not that many landing spots now. There's not many open seats. I mean, it's even back to the Sorsby to Steelers thing. Do I need 3 basically rookie quarterbacks? Nope. You know what I mean?
Sure don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's intriguing. What if they have a first-round grade on Sorsby and they say, I'll give you a 4th next year just to try it out? You'd have 3 rookie quarterbacks in camp, or even the Cardinals. They drafted Beck. I mean, you might as well throw Aller and Beck just away if you do those things, It's not as easy as you think.
No, it's not. And if I loved Brennan Sorsby, this would be a different conversation.
I would say pretend like you do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if this was Sellers.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not gonna say Arch, but I mean, if somebody out there loves them, apparently somebody does.
Sure.
I haven't studied them.
Sure.
I don't know, but someone's gonna put a pick in for them. I look at like the Jets. It's like I got 3 first-round picks. I'll throw in a second or third and maybe finish this thing out. And if he's terrible, I'll still get Arch.
Oh, I'm not even sold on Arch yet, let
Right,
alone
How can you be
Sorsby.
sold on any of these guys? I mean, would you have done it a year ago for Uhler or Nuss or Klubnik?
Probably.
Probably, and you'd regretted it to no end.
Yes.
You know, exactly, right.
Yes.
Wouldn't you rather just hold your water and be
Yes.
like, if there's really going to be 8 first-round quarterbacks next year, I'll just wait and take one of those.
Yes.
Right.
I want to see him prove it for another year in college
Right. I
football
don't want
here.
him to Klubnik it off the, Nussmeier's like the last pick of the draft. And he didn't even play that bad.
Imagine if you would have given your first-round pick up for that guy.
Exactly.
He ends up going in the 7th round.
Yeah. And he was hurt all his rookie year and has this cyst on his spine and, can't do anything for it.
Thus concludes our quarterback conversation hour here.
Yeah.
We will do an early around campus and a way too early look at some 2027 mock draft names you should know later on in the week. But we've been teasing it all day. Hour number 2, let's go around the AFC North and look at the business done in the draft by our 3 divisional foes. That's where we will go to kick off hour number 2 here on The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Confused? Us too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hour number 2 here of The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. We're going to pivot from our first hour of quarterback conversation, unless, of course, something breaks here in the next hour, Matt Williamson, that would change our minds. And we're going to continue. This whole week will be kind of a bob and weave between putting a bow on all the draft proceedings and kind of looking ahead and covering all the other stuff that's going on. But, of course, one thing that we have to do is look around the rest of the AFC North at our divisional rivals, divisional foes, and the business that they did on the 3 days here in Pittsburgh for the 2026 NFL Draft. Matt, we will start with, as much as I hate to say it, a team that I think did really good business, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I agree.
2 first-round picks.
Now it helps that you've got tons of draft grades.
Absolutely.
I hate the draft grades that come out. It's like, teams with all the first-round picks or picking the beginning of the rounds did better than the Seahawks. Like, yeah, of course they did.
Of course.
But anyway.
I'd rather be the Seahawks still.
Right, right. But I think Cleveland maximized their assets here.
I do too. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and, man, I don't know if you could have scripted a better 4 selections there. They trade down, and they get Spencer Fanu out of Utah.
And I get the impression they would have taken him if they
6.
stuck. Yeah.
I think so. And in the back half of the first round at pick 24, they get a guy that Matt and I both really liked in KC Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M.
A little bit heartbreaking.
I loved both of those guys. They both end up in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second round, 2 other guys that I think Matt and I kind of sung the praises of and thought were good players in this process. They add another wide receiver in Denzel Boston at pick 39. And then they add one of those highly rated safeties in this process, the Toledo guy staying in Ohio, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at pick 58.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I think every person in the Browns organization, in the media around the team, in the fan base at large would have probably swapped their, and I know that going into it, they didn't have the second round pick yet, I think. Right? Or no, they did.
I think
they did because they didn't pick up a second-round pick from the Chiefs.
No, but they got the 3rd or something. Yeah,
yes.
Right. They may even got a few. They may even been one of the teams that got something for next year in the whole process.
Yeah,
not like a first or anything, but
just with those first 4 picks, I think pretty much everybody would have. We're going to come away from that draft with those 4 prospects. Absolutely, sign me up. I mean, that's an impressive haul that can really revamp their offense with those first 3 picks and add a nice young piece to that already solid defense.
Yeah, I mean, there were many mock drafts we previewed a month ago that had all 4 of those guys going first.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't uncommon at
Totally.
all. And I like Concepcion more than Boston, but I love the way they complement each other. It's a real different
Real peanut
pair.
butter and jelly.
Yeah, real different pair. I haven't heard any reason, character or injury that McNeil Warren fell to where he did. I just think safeties, Thiemann kind of fell. Downs fell a little bit. I just think safeties didn't go as high as you thought.
I also, and I don't know if this is just a recent outlier or if it's now a NIL transfer portal Power 4 collegiate football thing, but it feels like we see less and less small school guys going in the first round too.
Probably. I mean, obviously, you know this better than me. I mean, many that started there just transfer somewhere else.
Correct.
But still, I wonder, does the league look at it like it's a red flag? Like, I didn't even get a chance to see you against
maybe
top teams,
Maybe.
where most guys I could see Ruben Bain against top teams.
Exactly right. And now a lot of these guys, you can see them playing at a Big 10 school and an ACC school.
Yeah.
Or a Big 12 school and an SEC. Like, I remember when you and I discussed that a couple years ago at the Combine with Omar Khan, because there was all those quarterbacks.
I remember having this Bo Nix conversation.
Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and all those guys played at multiple schools.
Right.
And we asked Omar Khan, how does that change the evaluation process now in this era?
And teams are getting better at it. And he
was like, honestly, it can be a good thing because they played in multiple systems from multiple coordinators and different. You can get to see how they picked up new offenses and all that different stuff. And with new teammates.
Your southeastern scout that goes into Auburn is asking about Bo Nix, even though he's on the other side of the country.
Right.
And you might get more honest information from somebody that's not there, just trying to punt. I mean, I was the liaison at Akron between the scouts and the team. Now, not for long because I jumped ship and went to the other side. But like a lot of those liaisons just want you to take their guys as high as possible and aren't going to tell you all the bad thing. You got to dig on your own. So you might be able to find more information out on guys that were at several places.
It's an interesting thing to ponder because I realize I say this, and 2 years ago, is it Quentin or Quignon Mitchell, the corner Quignon Mitchell, the corner for the Eagles, went first round out of Toledo just 2 years ago. But it seems like in this transfer portal era, less and less are those MAC school guys and those, the what is now the G6, right? So there's the P4, the Power 4, which is the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC, and then the others are the G6, Conference USA and the American Athletic Conference and all that. It just seems like I wonder if he would have transferred to even since, I'm not saying it has to be Ohio State or Alabama, but if he would have even transferred to Cincinnati, if he would have ended up going in the first round.
Or, right.
It's an interesting process. I wondered that I remember, talking to you and Dale and all that about how Alabama came after Zach Frazier hard before his senior year at WVU.
Right.
Nick Saban said, I want my fellow Fairmont boy there at the center of my offensive line down in Alabama, and they offered Zach a couple big bags, and he said, thanks, I appreciate it.
I think Mason McCormick was sought after heavily by Bama,
So, would Zach have been a first-round pick if he would have, and if he would, or
maybe.
Instead of going 52nd or whatever, he goes 36th,
I bet McCormick, if he was a star for Bama for 1 year,
or even
goes
if he
in the
goes,
second
if
round.
he goes to Iowa, or somewhere like that, or Wisconsin, and ends up going in the second round.
I even remember having those conversations at the time. It was like, oh, feather in the cap for those guys. They're loyal. I can trust them to no end.
That's great for the fans.
That's great.
I don't think the NFL teams give a rip about that.
No, because, it's not like the guys you left, you're holding it against them.
You're going to sign him to a contract, and he's going to be there for that long.
Right.
And,
I have his rights. He's not going anywhere
unless
I cut him or trade him.
Yeah, right. If all of a sudden Jeremy Bernard doesn't like it in Pittsburgh, too bad. We got you
so
for the next 4 years, buddy.
This is sort of a side note, but there was so much stink in the draft community when Christian McCaffrey,
I remember that,
decided not to play in his bowl game because it was not the national title.
He was the first big name guy to do that. And does that matter at all? And now everybody does it. Right? Yeah, now everybody does it.
Yeah.
It's like it's now a foregone conclusion that if you're not in the playoff and you're a big time prospect, you're not going to play in your bowl game.
Right. You're nuts. Yeah, and
it changes fast.
It does.
Browns also add Austin Barber, an offensive tackle out of Florida. Parker Brailsford, center from Alabama, linebacker Justin.
Stop there super quick.
Yep.
I don't really like either one of those particular players all that much, but I killed the Browns last year for drafting
not
zero
taking
offensive linemen, and they took 3 with their top 7 picks or whatever, prominent picks. So good for you for that. At least you're building cheap depth,
They also got some guys late in the draft that I think are worthy of taking a flyer on. Joe Royer, the tight end out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, and when the tight ends went like crazy, but I think the Steelers and the Browns got one late enough that not that much different than like the third-round guys.
And then the wild card, which is hilarious because it feels like Cleveland already has 3 or 4 of these in the quarterback room, but they nabbed Taylon Green in the 6th round, the athletic freak from Arkansas.
So you drafted 2 last year, and Watson's going to be around. All 4 of those dudes make the team. Probably keeping 4 is hard.
Very hard.
It makes me think Dylan Gabriel has like no chance to be a Brown,
which is nuts because he's the highest draft pick out of all of them.
All of them.
Shador was a 5th rounder. Taylon Green's a 6th rounder.
Right.
He was a 3rd rounder.
Is he going to be someone's backup? They can dump him for a 7th round pick, or are they just telling Green he's a quarterback, and then they're going to try to convince him to do other things? I should have mentioned this more because we mentioned Green and Cole Payton a fair amount for the Steelers pre-draft. But like if you go to like the mock draftable and you find like their athletic equivalent, do you know who Taylon Green's is? You'll never get it, but I mean
Terrell Pryor.
Close. Calvin Johnson.
That's the old this guy is big and runs like a gazelle. Let's compare him to Randy Moss that I always say. Let's compare this quarterback from Arkansas to probably the freakiest wide receiver the league has ever.
That's who he is as an athlete.
That's hilarious.
Calvin Johnson.
Well, if that's the case, then Cleveland needs to move him to wide receiver right now.
Well, that's why I'm wondering. Is that their plan all along?
They also did that with Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
A different lifetime ago, and he ended up having a 1,000-yard season. Interesting. Let's take a break.
I like their draft.
As much as I hate to say it, I like their draft, but that's what you should be saying about a team that had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, picking where they are. That's part of the nature of the beast.
More and more, I dislike this draft post-draft than I even did going into it. And just 5th and 6th round was pretty lean. And I'm not saying drafting a pure return guy that the Steelers did was the wisest move in the 4th round. But this year opened that up a little bit more than usual. And I think that's kind of like the Green pick. Like, maybe I can't convince him to play wide out and see if he's Calvin Johnson, but maybe I can.
Maybe we'll bring him into the facility and we'll have some Terrell Pryor highlights playing.
Right. They make pretty good money.
We'll talk about the Bengals. We'll talk about the Ravens when we return, going around the AFC North here in hour number 2. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Rolling along here on The Drive on this Tuesday, breaking down the rest of the draft classes for the AFC North. And let's go to Cincinnati, where the chili is questionable, and they traded their first-round pick for Dexter.
Sexy Dexy.
For Sexy Dexy. So that obviously, and again, you talk about the whole draft grades thing. Like, that is going to hinder their draft grade.
Of course.
But
when the Steelers traded for Metcalf last year for a second, that counts in your draft.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. But aside from that, obviously, the Bengals did make 6 other picks. They were scheduled to have 2 picks in the 4th round.
I think they had an extra in the 4th.
They did, but no 5th rounder. So 7 picks there. Traded the 1st rounder, of course, for Dexter Lawrence to the Giants. And then the 2nd round, and a kind of defensive heavy start, especially if you consider 1st round pick Dexter Lawrence.
Of course.
2nd round pick edge rusher Cassius Howe out of A&M. 3rd round pick Tacario Davis, the corner from Washington.
I don't love Davis. I like his teammate from Washington better. I forget his name.
The guard?
No, the other corner that's also gigantic. That's 6'.
Yes. The Steelers brought him in for. He had like a really weird name.
He did.
But
It's a biblical name. But anyway,
it's like Ezekiel or something like that. Yeah,
I should know that.
Ephesians 5.
Yes,
Sock.
That's exactly it. But Davis is interesting. He's a project because he's super fast, super long, super tall. Their corners aren't as bad as people think because DJ Turner is pretty solid.
DJ Turner's pretty good.
Yeah. Howell makes a ton of sense too, just because I give them credit because they've drafted the same type of defensive ends these last couple of years, and it hasn't really worked. They're the big bodies, kind of slow off the ball dudes, where this guy is a firecracker off the ball. He doesn't defend the run at all. He's only going to be out there on third and long, pass rush specialist. But Howell, super short arms, but he's probably the best pass rusher in the draft. I mean, edge pass rusher.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just pass rush. Forget everything else.
Trust one guy to get you a sack on 3rd and 8 in the Super Bowl to clinch it. I think I'd pick him.
Wow, that's a good compliment.
Yeah.
That's
he's
a good compliment.
Quite the bag of moves. He bends like crazy, explodes off the ball.
Needs help in the run game, but he
won't be out there.
But he can get after quarterbacks.
But they already have the big D ends.
4th-round pick, Connor Lew, the center out of Auburn, as well as Kobe Young, wide receiver from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Then they add another offensive lineman in the 6th, Brian Parker from Duke, the tackle.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Lew was often considered a premier center prospect a year ago, and this year went okay. The Duke kid, though, is the Graham Barton clone. So he's going to be the tackle that they're also going to try at center.
Okay.
So their O-line was actually pretty good throughout the year.
Much better, yeah.
But now they're going to have basically 2 rookies battle it out at center, which I kind of like that idea, you know?
Going to have tryouts.
Yeah.
2 dogs, 1 bone. And actually, I was wrong. They made 2 picks in the 7th round. So they had 7 picks overall after the trade for Dexter Lawrence.
Okay.
And the 2 7th-round picks, Jack Endries, the tight end out of Texas, and Landon Robinson, defensive tackle from Navy.
The other Navy, super undersized.
Yep.
Yeah. Easy to root for, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's where Cincinnati went.
I heard the Steelers today also signed Heidenreich's Lebo buddy from Navy as an undrafted free agent. Yeah.
Very nice. We'll get into that.
I know.
More.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Navy's on top
we'll
of my
get into
list.
that more as the
I won't
week rolls along.
Giving you scouting reports on all those guys, by the way, folks. But we'll mention the names.
Yes. And then the Baltimore Ravens, Matt, who made a ton of picks in this year's draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks.
So I heard today they were trying to move out of that pick.
The 14th overall pick.
Because they were in love with Venga, Bain, and Sadiq.
And we're like, we'll trade down.
Yeah, if we can move back 2-3 spots, we'll just take whoever's left.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, they do nab Venga, 14th overall there, which I think Matt and everyone knows how we feel about him. And,
he's a great player,
and what we think he can be at the next level as much as we hate to admit it.
Mm-hmm. And exactly what they need.
Yes. They also, it's been kind of a trenches year for them in a lot of ways in terms of their high capital. You go Venga, Ioane. They signed Trey Hendrickson, who I know is an edge rusher, but still kind of fits that bill. And then Zion Young at pick 45, the defensive end edge out of Mizzou.
This is sort of like the reciprocal of the Bengals conversation because, well, coincidentally, Bengals lose an edge pass rusher in Hendrickson, who's a great pass rusher. But the underreported thing about Hendrickson is he's not much against the run. I mean, he's out there every down, not like Howell will be because he's big, but you can run at Hendrickson, and he's getting paid for one reason. Zion Young's an edge setter, though. I mean, he's a tough guy. I don't think he bends very well.
He's kind of the opposite of Cassius Howell,
That's what
right?
I'm saying. Yeah. He's going to be your early down guy. They're not going to pull Hendrickson off the field, but he'll be the set the edge, physical, try to run through you guy, not dip around you type. So I get the vision with both of those edge guys taken in the second round by both these teams.
And then
then they draft a lot of pass catchers. 2 receivers, 2 tight ends.
2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and they go receiver, tight end with their 3rd and 4th round picks. Jacoby Lane out of USC, Elijah Surratt, national champion from IU.
Those 2 couldn't be any more different either. I like Surratt a lot better.
I do too, but I like how both Cleveland and Baltimore, from just a roster building standpoint, added peanut butter and jelly.
Totally different.
Wide receivers, 2 different body types, 2 different skill sets.
I'm not a Lane believer, and this is a terrible way to scout, but if you just look at his highlights, you'd be like, shouldn't he be like a top 5 pick? Like, they just totally throw him up and contested, and he just one-hands it, goes up and gets it, like 42-inch vertical. He gets bullied all the time, and he's never open. But the ball's in the air, he goes up and gets it, and it's really impressive. Surratt's a lot more like Bernard. A little bit Miller Lite version,
Miller Lite version. Then it was Matthew Hibner, the tight end out of SMU with their second, fourth-round pick. Chandler Rivers, the corner from Duke in the fifth round. And then another tight end in the fifth round, Josh Cuevas, I believe is how he pronounces his last name, out of Alabama.
This is a third or fourth time in like the last 20 years they've drafted two tight ends in the same draft.
The same draft,
The Andrews draft was that way. I think even going back to like Todd Heap. They've done this a couple times. But they definitely needed pass catchers.
No, they certainly did.
Yeah.
They certainly did. And they went out and they addressed that big time. Then they also add a running back in Adam Randall.
He's a former wide receiver.
Former wide receiver. And a punter in the sixth round, Ryan Eckley, out of Michigan State. Mike Pursuta there might have a thing or two to say about that guy. And then two picks in the seventh round, both in the trenches. Rashawn Benny, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, and Evan Bernstein, the offensive lineman out of Northwestern.
I can speak a little on Benny. He's a little shorter, but he's thick, powerful, gets off the ball well. Some thought he'd be like a fourth-round pick, but there's some injury stuff.
Okay.
So maybe that's like a Trice situation.
Matt, I think I know the answer to this, but of the other three division teams, and I guess even for the purpose of this conversation, we should probably include Dexter Lawrence as part of the haul for Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's fair. Because obviously you put them last without it.
Which team do you think had the
Browns.
It's hard not to say that.
They did.
I think if you throw Dexter Lawrence into the equation, you could make an argument for Cleveland, because between him and Howe, or for Cincinnati, between Dexter Lawrence and Howe, if they can transform that defensive line and that pass rush.
It could be one of the better D-lines in the league.
And if that happens, all of a sudden, look out. Cincinnati's a real threat with what they have on the offensive side of the ball. But I think it has to be Cleveland.
I mean, Cincy kind of has the fewest questions because I think their offense is complete. I mean, especially if you throw two centers in the mix.
Don't tell anybody I said this, all right? Because we'll do this.
I'm kind of scared of Cincy.
We'll do this in July before training camp or around training camp time. But I might pick the Bengals to win the division.
Me too. I've been leaning that way in a big way.
Don't tell anybody I said that, Matt. Strike that from the record, guys. All right, don't let that get out there. But they're also the only ones with a returning coaching staff. And even though I'm not the biggest Zach Taylor fan, that's
he's been around the block
in a one-year sample size. That continuity can help you in the difference of what I think will be a pretty competitive division.
And he's always this way, and he's not the only one. But I think Burrow has the biggest chip on his shoulder ever right now. Just the way the last couple of years have gone.
He's kind of fallen out of that conversation for a lot of people and hasn't been in the spotlight. And
not making playoffs.
Now all of a sudden Drake May is the new sexy guy, and all these new younger quarterbacks are coming into the fold too.
Beware of Burrow right now. He's a little bit of that, backed into the corner guy.
Don't like that.
Last note. I guess the Browns are planning have said Fano is a tackle only.
Okay.
Now, I think DeJuan Jones is like the only offensive lineman from last year's team.
I believe they lost 4 of their 5 starters from last year.
I think they brought in like 7 or 8.
But they brought in a bunch, yeah.
And they're not all great, but I'm just curious how that puzzle goes together.
Cleveland could have a very good roster minus the most important position in all of sports.
Yeah. I mean, if like Judy all of a sudden becomes your 2 or 3, and Fannon's catching a lot of balls,
we did that exercise.
Judkins,
we did that exercise.
Defense would be good.
Carson Schlesinger takes a step forward. I mean,
Garrett doesn't take a step back. Look out,
You and I did that exercise. I think it was during training camp last year, where we did let's rank every roster in the NFL, take the quarterback out of the equation.
Mm-hmm. And Browns would have been low then.
Browns would have been low then, but they'd be I think they'd definitely be top 10 if we did that exercise now.
Pretty good, yeah. They hit on a lot of picks last year, too. Well, they've made a lot of picks in the last 2 years.
If there's one thing we know, it's that Cleveland could never mess this up, and they will certainly make the most of it.
Smooth sailing, of course.
Let's take our last break here. You know how we'll close this thing down on the other side. Questions, comments, concerns, reactions. The time will be yours before we put a bow on the day's proceedings. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of this Tuesday is, my goodness, man, like the month of April's basically over.
I know.
It's basically May.
It's like summer already.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
We're going to my sister's college graduation in like 2 weeks. That happened.
We're going to be hosting one here soon.
That happened real quick. Yeah, you're going to have your second
high school, right?
Second high school graduation in a row.
They're kind of pricey, by the way.
Yeah.
The kids make out.
Yes, they do.
They just get all these cash and checks,
Yep.
and we just have a huge, expensive party. But
Yep.
you guys are all invited.
That's the way it works, right?
Well, not everyone listening's invited. You three here are invited. Forget we're on the air sometimes.
That's like, all the thousands of you that listen to this and download every day. Just let me know if you're coming so we make sure we have enough irons
get a
and
couple
kielbasa.
kegs, yeah.
You crack me up, dude. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Let's get into some reaction here, some questions, some comments, some concerns as we roll along and put a bow on the day's proceedings. This is an interesting one here from May. May says, it seems like a lot of these draft picks were injecting a deliberate Mike McCarthy flavor and reminding me of guys that he played with in the past. So Ian Achor becomes Brian Bulaga.
I saw this one. I think you're squinting a little bit here.
Jeremy Bernard, Greg Jennings.
Okay.
Jennings Dunker, TJ Lang.
Let's hope this comes to fruition. Those are pretty good players, yeah.
Weejan and Eli turn into Cobb and Montgomery. I would take Weejan turning into Randall Cobb right now. I would sign for that.
And he
was
a gimmicky dude coming out of Kentucky.
Yeah. And then Noah Kowski turns into Ripkowski. I understand how that one obviously fits with the.
I mean, I see where you're getting at here.
The nomenclature there.
I think you're squinting a little bit. I mean, the fact that McCarthy's coached this long, you could probably find somebody in his history that kind of meshes with every draft pick.
Sure.
I mean,
that's a good point too.
Right. I mean, well, why didn't we go with Uhler's Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love I mean, I know all these, you didn't take all those dudes, or Everett is
wait, I thought Aller was Josh Allen. I mean,
right. But I do think there's a definite. I'm not giving you a hard time, tweeter. I forget what your name was, but there's definitely a McCarthy.
Oh yeah, as you would
thumbprint heavily on this draft. Versatility. I think some of the linemen, the two offensive linemen, especially Dunker, is throwback Packer style.
Yeah.
Again, he was a tackle that the Green Bay would have made a guard. I mean, that's their style guys.
Mr. Steel City says, man, the early talk about training camp is getting me excited. Seeing guys like Evan Hall and Rock Taylor back in the fold and making plays. I know it's early, but if you had to pick a draft winner, who would it be? Sadly, I might have to go with the Browns.
Well, we just kind of did that, yeah. In the division, at least.
In the division, definitely. And I think overall, I really liked what the Jets did, too, with those 3 first-round picks. Yeah. I think they set themselves up to,
the nest.
And to really continue building it.
I think you can drop. The offense looks, in New York, pretty close to complete to just drop, Moore or Sellers or whatever in there.
Maybe this is cheating a little bit, but in a year that in both free agency and in the draft had such a gulf between the consensus guy and everyone else, I think you have to say the Raiders for getting Mendoza. I know that's kind of cheating, and they had the first overall pick, and there's a lot more to it. But of all the teams that really wanted to get a quarterback this offseason,
one did. Yeah.
And the others ended up, buying pennies on the dollar and hoping for reclamation projects.
Or doing like the Uhler Beck move and hope you get one. Or, bring like the Jets and basically bringing in nobody, just an old guy type situation. I also, you mentioned how don't tell anyone you might pick the Bengals to win the division. I might pick Dallas to win their division too. I think their defense got a really nice spike, and it already did, and you knew that's what they needed. And you get Downs, and you get Lawrence, and they got 3 or 4 nice pieces on defense. Which I just need the defense to be average because the offense is going to be good. Kind
of like same church, different pew as Cincinnati.
Real
right?
similar to
if
Cincinnati.
The defense can just be the 16th best in the league, they're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
So from Mr. Steele,
there was 3 or 4 drafts. We went over drafts we didn't like today. The whole NFC West.
I didn't understand it.
It was a mess.
Didn't understand it.
Right.
Maybe, and we can do some more of that.
Yeah,
this week.
We will. I mean, we'll dig into other classes.
We'll continue to do a draft segment or 2 every day this week as we put a bow on the proceedings. Steel Curtain says, I see we have signed Brandon Johnson again this year. I know injury hurt his chances last year. Do you guys think he has any chance to make the roster, maybe be that fourth wideout that the Steelers are looking for? He did play really well in the preseason last year before he got hurt.
Maybe. I mean, he's a perfect example. I think we ended yesterday's show.
I was just going to say what we talked about yesterday.
I want to see him in Latrobe next year. You know, I mean, we talk about, and I'm guilty of this. Rob's been doing this a lot lately about available roster spots, and you can't just totally forget about the guys that looked pretty good in camp and didn't quite cut the mustard. And as Dale would always say, you're allowed to get better.
You're allowed to get better.
And there might be an injury in front of you, or you might just light up preseason and make you uncuttable. I mean, I think that's all possible too. Meant to bring this up. Did the Steelers sign Dean Lowry without us knowing?
So yes and no.
Okay.
2 days ago, Rappaport reported that they did.
Okay.
And then today, Rappaport reported that he's still waiting to take his physical because he's recovering from some injuries.
From the injuries, okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that one's officially across the line.
We've brought this up in the draft, too. Darnell Savage is on a bunch of depth charts, but has never been announced by Steelers.com.
No.
Or, you know.
And Michael Birch, Steelers PR guy, great dude. Other than being a big Notre Dame fan, he's a great dude. He was asked by Pursuta right before we began our broadcasts on Thursday about that, and he said no, he is not on the roster.
He is not on the roster. Okay. I mean, I know some of these really I think Our Lads is unbelievable with their depth chart stuff. They do have him on, but shouldn't, because I mean, if it's unannounced, it's unannounced.
That is it. And that, that'll be interesting. With that signing of Brandon Johnson, by the way, they released John Rise Plumlee as well. So fare thee well to one of the fun guys to evaluate out there, and a guy
doesn't mean he won't end up in camp or who knows. You know,
no.
Right?
He had a very, very fun, interesting collegiate career. Remember where he played in the UCF spring game and in their baseball game in the same day. He was a really good college baseball player too. One of the few guys that still does both. RJ says or asks, were you guys surprised by the lack of picks on the defensive side of the ball? Was it an attempt to overhaul the offense and special teams, Patrick Graham being content with what he has, or just how the board broke?
A little, and I would narrow it down to linebacker, pure safety. I would have guessed would have been a bigger investment than they made. You know, they basically had a late round safety, no true linebackers. I would have guessed certainly the over on that, you know. But I love that they would. I mean, I would have liked them to double down at receiver. I love that they doubled down on O-line.
Agreed. I don't think I was surprised.
No.
Because I just think when you bring in a new head coach, one who, you know,
an offensive-minded
guy.
And again, you have to keep an eye on next year's first-round pick quarterback, or at least the option of that. And I want him to develop with Max and, you know, young guys that are already in place.
Yes. The Nest, baby.
The Nest.
Ian says, gents, good work on draft coverage. I guess over 24 hours of live coverage and podcast constitutes a break. I ask the obligatory who won the draft question. Who won and what grade do you give the Steelers? He said, personally, I give the Steelers A+ for drafting 8 or 9 future Hall of Famers.
Sure.
And then also, does this Aaron Rodgers stuff mean that he cannot attend OTAs or minicamp? If so, I don't like that idea, being that it's entirely a new coaching staff, even though he obviously has experience and history with Big Mike.
The way I understand it now is he cannot.
I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth on that whole.
I don't know. I don't think he needs it or the team needs it.
I don't either.
Especially because the coach, if they would have hired Steelhaas or somebody like that, there's a totally new
Jesse
system.
Minter.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was more important last year for him to be there than this year.
Agreed.
Especially,
and he apparently agreed too, because he signed right before OTAs. You know? Especially
like, you had so much of your offensive line, like Zach Frazier was just entering his second year. Mason McCormick just entering his second year. Troy Faltanu really his rookie year in terms of, and so I wanted Rodgers there to be with those young offensive linemen as they were growing and everything too, whereas those guys are a little bit longer in the tooth now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I wish beneficial for him to be there because he's another coach.
I wish he was there, all that stuff, but at the same time, you give you put a ton on Will Howard and Drew Aller's plates, and
that's
see
what I was going to say. Is I think Aller and Howard would throw the most footballs anyway.
Correct.
Not that he would never, but
now they have to.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Matthew asks, how many special teams only guys do the Steelers typically keep? Because it seems like we are overloaded with those type of players currently.
Say 4 or 5.
Like last year, it was Killebrew and Connor Hayward and Skronik.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Pierre started as that guy, even though he didn't make the opening roster. Well, I definitely think the returner's going to be one of those. Different than usual.
Certainly.
Usually they don't keep a pure returner, but they're going to this year.
Skronik will still be one unless there's somebody that they think could, that ends up usurping him and can be a different, if it's a Eli Heidenreich where they're like, this guy can do what Skronik does on special teams, but might have a higher upside.
I think Bruner is that guy now.
That's the one that we were forgetting.
I think he's the new Killebrew Matakevich that is here for special teams and might be a special teams captain this year. There's going to be others, but I wouldn't say they're only. I mean, you draft a safety that late, tight end / fullback that late. Those guys have to play teams, but that's not the only reason they're here,
Correct. You have to play teams, but you better be able to do something else.
Like if Skronik or Bruner all of a sudden got bad on special teams, well, they wouldn't have a job.
Correct.
Where those other guys still might.
Correct. Smooth Dave, one of our regulars, says the Steelers really leaned into versatility and position flexibility. Can it reach a point where there's too much ambiguity, good word, to how all the pieces fit? Any concern they're treating versatility as a primary skill set rather than a bonus? I think that's a great question, Smooth Dave.
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
And that's something that our buddy Mike Pursuit has been harping on, too. I think you're always looking to strike a balance.
Mm-hmm.
I think
clearly it's important to McCarthy because every time he's at the podium, he brings it up.
And I think in certain areas, flexibility and versatility with somebody like Michael Pittman Jr. who can line up at any wide receiver position is important.
I don't think he wants Des Bryant to line up in the same spot every time.
Having a Brock Hoffman who can play 3 positions on your offensive line is important.
Those two spots really show up.
But I do think sometimes we can also be guilty of this guy is only nosy-ish and can only stuff the run and doesn't do enough. Okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having a big defensive lineman who can stuff the run? I think
pretty happy he's around when the run defense is falling apart.
I think it's a fair question by Smooth Dave, Matt, and I think ideally you'd kind of like to ride that tiger and walk the tightrope of both, which is obviously
it's also where the league's going, especially defensively, and the line between big receivers and tight ends and that type of thing too. It's not positionless football, but some of the best defenses out there, their guys can do a lot of different stuff.
Normally, I only do 1 tweet a day per listener, but this is another really good one from Smooth Dave. How translatable is kick and punt return skills and success in college to the National Football League?
I don't know.
And how do you evaluate how much of it is on the returner versus how much of it is the blocking unit? Those are Smooth Dave. You're asking good questions today, brother.
And that one I don't know the answer to. I mean, I think your special teams coach needs to know. Pursuta brought it up a few times because when they interviewed the Steelers special teams coach, he went out of his way to talk about getting vertical immediately as a returner, and then when do you make your first cut, things like that. I don't have time to watch special teams coach. I mean, I'd be a terrible kicker evaluator, punter evaluator, long snap evaluator. I do think this is not what he asked, but I do think that there is an argument for some of the best returners became returners in the NFL. They were just good wideouts, Like I'm sure AB did some returning at college, but when you threw him out there and that was how you made your bones as a 6th-round pick, it's like, wow, I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yes.
And you'll see at camp, folks. I mean, there will be in practice, some of it's goofing off, but there will be 7 or 8 dudes returning punts from the jugs machine. Some of them have never done it before, and some have no business being out there.
Some of it is goofing off, but some of it is like, hey, let's see what you got.
Yeah, some of them really shouldn't be out there, but
Joby asks about where we think Dunker falls. He was a naturally right side guard in college. Mason McCormick played left side in college. Could you see any scenario where they swap them?
No.
And what does your highest ceiling starting 5 offensive line look like? He said, I would go Troy, left tackle, McCormick, left guard, Zach Frazier, Jennings Dunker, right guard, Mad Max, right tackle. That's a lot of moving parts, though.
I'm going to fight you on that. I think Dunker will be immediately thrown in the left guard conversation and
With
probably
Hoffman
not moved
and
at all.
Anderson, and
Right.
let's see who rises to the top.
We know Hoffman and Anderson can play all over. I guess my highest ceiling
Mad Max.
would be left to right, Broderick,
Okay.
Faltanu,
Ooh, a guard.
Frazier, Mason, Max.
If you're just going,
I mean, they're all like first-round picks.
If this hits, this would be
Right.
perfect.
I mean, those are my highest ceiling.
Sure, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Because I guess Bro Joe would have to be in there because if he hits again,
Right.
Faltanu could.
I mean, I'd be the best guard in the
he
league.
could be the best guard in
Next
the
to
league.
the best center in the league.
Yeah, next. Woo.
You know what I mean?
Then you have Pouncey and DeCastro all over again,
right.
baby.
I mean, I think that's your highest ceiling. I mean, those are the 5 guys with the highest ceiling. You can build the puzzle however you want.
Yes, agreed. Let's see here. A couple more. Annie says, in the couple of interviews I've heard with Jennings Dunker, he gives me Craig Wolfley vibes. Quirky,
Yep.
Quirky, fun, self-deprecating. I think Wolf would have loved him. He absolutely
Wolf would have loved him.
Absolutely would have. Wolf would have loved this draft. Offensive lineman in the first round, offensive lineman in the third round. Wolf would have been having some fun for sure.
Yeah, him and Dunker would get along quite well, I have a feeling.
Oh man, they'd be talking about like those videos of the hay bale toss and
Yeah.
you know, I know most of our Steelers diehards know this, but I'm sure there's plenty who don't. If you want a treat, go to YouTube
Yes.
and type in Craig Wolfley, World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
He came in like 5th place in the World's Strongest Man conversation
Which
in the
is
80s.
nuts, right.
And there's this old, grainy footage on YouTube. Wolf's got long hair, and he's like picking up boulders and trying to set them on tree stumps, you know what I mean? And all this old stuff.
I don't know
that they
every
used to
event
do.
that he was in, but I mean, I used to watch those sometimes as
Yeah.
a kid. One would be like pull a trolley with your teeth.
Yes.
You know, that kind
pull
of
a
stuff.
semi truck. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
to
Like,
strap you up and pull it up this slight hill or whatever, or flat surface or whatever. Yeah,
I just remember the one
Crazy
where they
stuff.
had all the big boulders and they'd get like heavier.
Yeah.
And you had to set them up on the tree stumps.
pick them up, boom.
Oh,
Yeah,
like my back.
could you
just-
imagine? Right.
Just blowing out there. Imagine now if Zach Frazier was doing that kind of stuff in the offseason.
Right.
We'd be like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Penny Sewell's like, hey Lions, I'm not doing
Penny
anything. I'm going to
Sewell's
go
like,
do
I'm
that.
working for this moving company in Detroit during the offseason. I'm going to lift refrigerators all day
Yeah.
like those guys used
I'm
to
going
do.
to pull a semi truck with my teeth.
No
Like,
chance.
No, you're not.
No chance.
Right.
It's hilarious. Like those guys used to work for moving companies and
Oh yeah.
and things like World's Strongest Man competitions.
You make a
and
couple extra bucks on the strongest man stuff. I mean, I'm sure that's why
that
Wolf
was
did it.
That was part of it too. Yeah, they needed the extra money. That's why
Right.
they'd work for moving companies and stuff like that during the off season. Keep yourself in shape, get
Yeah.
some workouts in, make a little extra money.
Crazy.
Wolf, fun story here. Wolf used to tell me, he told me this story a few times, and he'd be like, I always had to get a job during the off season because if I didn't, my wife would go back to work, and then I'd be Mr. Mom at home with
and
the kids.
working's better than
And
being
he's like,
Mr. Mom.
working, he's like, I'd be terrified. I had no idea what to do. He'd like, the
Probably
baby
worked out better for the kids
he'd
too.
be like, the baby would start crying, and I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to call my wife at work. What do I do here? He'd be
I
like,
think the whole Wolfley family's happy that was the move as opposed to the other way around.
oh man, miss that guy. Good stories though. Good
He'd
stories.
like Dunker. I have a hunch.
I have a
Yeah.
hunch he'd like a Dunker and like Mad Max and just the overarching investment that the Steelers have made in the trenches, but especially on the offensive side of the ball,
Sure.
over the last few years here. I think he'd be a big fan of how that is all played out. All right, Matt, we got just another minute or two here till we have to wrap this thing up. Andrew tweets us, and I think he did this once or twice back in last summer, but Andrew used to do this with Moats and I sometimes.
Okay.
He'd be like, we're heading towards the summertime. We're heading towards the off season here. It's time to have a little fun and get a little lighter from time to time. So let's hit the random question generator. First, I want to know, what is one thing you guys wish you were taught in school? Taxes.
That's a good one.
That's the one I always come back to is taxes.
I remember the opposite. I was thrilled that I took typing.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like on a typewriter back then.
Sure.
And now I'm on a laptop. I'm good at it. Like I never had to like learn on my own because a lot of especially men my age were like, meh, meh, man, like
Hunt and peck.
a lot of the girls took typing still. I mean, which is amazing. Like in my mom's era, all the girls took typing.
All the girls took typing,
right?
yeah.
The men took woodworking.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, right. I'm a better typer than I am woodworker, that's for sure.
You and me both. You and me both. Second one, what's your opinion on tipping? It has tipping culture and expectations gotten out of control.
I think it's so dumb. And I think when we went to Ireland, it became even more obvious that most of the world doesn't do this. Yeah, it's different if, like, Jimmy Conway and Goodfellas, like, slips you 100 to get you in the door.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that's cool. But, like, the bill comes out and I'm expected to put X percent on there. I don't know. Get rid of it all. Just charge me more.
I tip well in restaurants and bar settings like that because I'm not going to be the one who shorts those people.
Oh, I'm a good tipper.
Yes.
Yes.
But what drives me nuts is like
I just don't know why it's expected in this society.
A restaurant where you go up to the counter, order your food, and then they hand you your food, and you take it back to your seat, and the thing's like, would you like to leave a tip? 20%, 25%, 30%? That drives me nuts.
That drives me nuts. Like, if I would pick up dinner on the way home from here, and they have that option, no way am I giving you 20% just to hand me my pizza, that I ordered. I might give you $2.
That's what I do. If
I
do takeout orders, I give a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But not if
I never have cash.
Not
on
if
me.
I'm going.
Cash, I'd leave it.
If I go to a place and the only interaction I have with a human is someone handing me the food, I'm not like I order at a kiosk. I stand there and wait. I go up and I get the food myself.
Someone else prepares it that doesn't eat. All they do is hand it to me.
What are we doing here?
Now, I know this is against the rules.
I tip my barber pretty well, too, because I want to make sure he keeps me looking fly.
Okay. I know this is not cool to say, but if someone tending bar grabs me my Miller High Life, opens all they do is take the tab off and hand it to me, I'm not sure I should give you more than a quarter. But I do, but it's like, if it's $1.25, of course, here's $2, keep the change or whatever. But because I know people are counting on it, but like, you didn't do all that much.
Yes.
You handed me a beer and just did this with the cap,
Correct. That's a little different than mixing up a margarita or a
like, hey, make me your best Manhattan or Bloody Mary or whatever,
Exactly right. Last but certainly not least, who's your favorite band?
Zeppelin.
They're my second favorite.
Yours, the Dead.
The Grateful Dead is my favorite, but Zeppelin's my second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I could only listen to those two the rest of my life, I'd be all right. I mean, there's a lot of other music that I like, obviously, but that's pretty big catalogs for both too.
Pretty strong.
I think I'd be able to survive. Speaking of which, yesterday I was thinking of you driving home. Hey, what can I do? Came on my shuffle. And that was the one, right, that was impossible to get back in the day. That's what I always think of.
You had a tape recorder sitting next to the transistor radio in case it came on. You'd hit record real quick and miss like the first 2 notes. But then you had it.
Not to age myself.
That's why it's really high on my Zeppelin list. I like the song, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I didn't listen to it 1,000 times on CD and tape growing up because you couldn't get it.
It's great. I still remember doing that like in the 90s, trying to get songs on my cassette tapes with like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all that poppy music of the 90s when I was growing up. Ricky Martin and Mambo No. 5. Oh, yeah, TV's dancing over there. He loves it. That'll do it for us today. Great questions and participation from everybody, as always. Tomorrow on the show, I think we're going to have our buddy Chris Halleck.
Good.
We'll also start to get into some of those UDFAs that the Steelers have added post-draft. Big thanks to Nate Dogg on the 1s and 2s, Mr. TV on the video side of things. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.